It's not too late to start up a business. The research is clear. The older you are, the deeper your industry experience, the higher your probability of building something successful. In this video, I look at 5 women who started businesses in their 40s, 50s and beyond, and what they actually had when they started. Not youth, not all had unlimited capital, but what they did have was experience, clarity and the willingness to begin. Most people assume that entrepreneurship belongs to the young. The hoodie, the garage, the 20-something with a laptop and a dream. But a study of 2.7 million founders tells a very different story, and 5 women are about to prove every word of it. We're talking about entrepreneurship today, not the version that assumes that you need to be young, funded, and fearless to begin. The real version, the one where everything that you've lived, every role, every pivot, every difficult year, turns out to be exactly the preparation you needed. By the end of this session, you will understand exactly what the evidence shows about age and entrepreneurial success, and you will have met 5 women who built something remarkable. Not despite starting in midlife, but because of it. Before we start, I want to address something directly. The narrative that youth is an advantage in business is everywhere. But in reality, this is actually wrong. So let's start with the evidence and then let's meet the women who lived it. It's not too late to start a business, whether you're in your 40s, 50s, or even your 60s. A study of 2.7 million founders by the National Bureau of Economic Research, authored by MIT, found that prior experience in the specific industry predicts a much greater rate of entrepreneurial success. Their findings also found that industry experience rather than age was a strong indicator of success. In fact, they found that the youngest founder of the successful firms that they studied were in fact middle-aged. And the more successful the firm, the older the founder. I'm going to repeat this. They studied 2.7 million founders and their results found that the older the founder, the more successful the business. Sarah Schiller and Karen Robinovitch, age 44 and 47, turned a personal crisis into a business, the Sloomoo Institute. They self-funded the business in 2019 as a 6-month pop-up. Then they raised $5.8 million. Now, neither were in the slime business before Robinovitch ran a talent agency for influencers and Schiller co-founded a meeting room sharing platform. Both were going through personal crises. They found slime therapeutically joyful and saw nobody else had turned it into an experiential business. They made $30 million revenue in 2023 and were ranked 1,292 on the 2025 Inc. 5000 list. They showed that personal crisis can become a foundation of a business, but they also showed that decades of accumulated expertise and transferable skills built across a long career can be translated directly into a successful business. Now, let's look at 2 women who turned their career expertise into a new venture. Boden founded Starling Bank in 2014, aged 54. After 300 rejections, she sold her own home to fund early operations. She also raised £3 million seed money after speaking to 300 investors over 2 years. Anne had 30 years of experience in banking at Lloyds, Standard Chartered, RBS and Allied Irish Banks as COO. She was frustrated by the broken legacy banking systems that she'd worked with her entire career, and she knew exactly what was wrong and built the fix. Starling Bank achieved a revenue of £680 million in 2025. It's targeting a valuation of £3.5 to £4 billion in its current secondary sale. Our second lady who used her career expertise is Skeete-Tatum, who founded Landit in 2014, aged 46, with initial angel investment followed by $13 million Series A. She raised 24.9 million in total, which is a remarkable achievement for a black woman when only 0.34 of all US capital was allocated to black female founders. Lisa has a Cornell engineering degree, a Harvard MBA, and had worked for the big players such as Procter & Gamble, GE Capital. She also has over a decade as general partner at Cardinal Partners, a $350 million healthcare venture capital firm. After more than a decade in the venture capital, she reached her own career inflection point, and in working through it, she realized that thousands of talented women were stuck at exactly the same point with no personalized support. Lisa partnered with Fortune 500 companies, including Pfizer, MetLife, Workday. She has been named Forbes 50 over 50 and one of Crunchbas's 50 female entrepreneurs everyone should know. Sometimes the asset is not a crisis or a career. Sometimes it's a conviction, a belief so deep it refuses to be ignored. So let's talk about one lady who turned her conviction into a movement. Gail Jennings-O'Byrne founded Wocstar Fund in 2018, age 48, self-built from scratch, backed by institutional investors, JP Morgan. After 30 years on Wall Street at JP Morgan and Sun Microsystems in mergers, acquisitions, and technology, Gail saw that women of color founders were systematically locked out of venture capital. She left a prestigious career to back the founders that no one else would back. Thank you, Gail. Gail has invested in over 200 companies, and she was named in Forbes 50 over 50 Investing 2024. Gail's also been named as top black venture capitalist by Business Insider 2024 and named one of 10 women changing the landscape of leadership by the New York Times. Crisis, expertise, conviction, and finally the asset that most people understand entirely, turning a passion into a product. Music legend Patti LaBelle, the original Lady Marmalade, founded Patti's Good Life in 2015, aged 71. She had no food business background, but a lifelong love of cooking, particularly Southern comfort food. Patti spotted a gap in the retail market for authentic soul food products. Over $85 million in annual sales, she and her son own 100% of the company. So what do this fabulous five have in common? They have proven that you don't have to be young, funded, famous, or fearless to build something successful. In midlife, you have to know your industry, solve a real problem, and often one that you've lived yourself, and be willing to start with what you have, not what you wish you had. Anne Boden sold her house. Patti LaBelle had a recipe and her name. Sarah and Karen had a friendship and a pop-up. Gail had 30 years of Wall Street knowledge and a conviction that the system was wrong. None of them waited until they were ready, and none of them had all the answers. All of them had something more valuable, decades of accumulated experience, a problem they understood better than anyone else, and the nerve to begin. And research backs every single one of them. The MBER study of 2.7 million founders confirms that the older you are, the deeper your industry experience, the higher your probability of success. Not despite your age, but because of it. The question is not whether you're ready. The question is, what are you waiting for? Which of these 5 women resonates most with you and why? Tell me in the comments, and if you're sitting on a business idea right now, drop that in the comments too, because someone watching needs to hear that they're not alone. You don't need to be young, you don't need to be funded, you don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to start with what you have and trust that what you have is enough. I'll see you in the next session.